Welcome back. That was a press conference for the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and he was also accompanied in the press conference with the U.S. General of Staff, Kane. The conference was on Iran, U.S.-Iran war after a ceasefire was announced, and it was held in the Pentagon. Chief Hegseth said that the U.S. had been decisive military, had made the victory in the operation in Iran, and he also added that Iran have begged or pressed in order to make a ceasefire deal. And for his part, U.S. General Kane have said that ceasefire is opposed and that the U.S. joint forces remains ready to resume the combat. Kane also said that our forces struck more than 13,000 targets in Iran operation, and Hegseth to U.S. troops that were involved in Iran operation kept saying to them, stay ready. Also, General Hegseth said that Iran will let the ships go through the hundreds go through the Strait of Hormuz, and he said hundreds are dead and wounded across Lebanon in Israeli strikes. And also Hegseth said that the strikes, the war on U.S. war on Iran have met its targets and met its main aim, which is toppling the regime of in Iran. He said that the supreme leader commander was dead, the armed forces chief was dead, and the intelligence chief was dead. Dozens of the officials in Iran was dead, and that U.S. have hit the targets it wanted to hit. Actually, to shed more light on this, we have a pleasure to have with us over the phone our dear guest, Major General Osama Kabir, consultant at Commander and Staff College. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am. How are you?
How are you? Well, General Kabir, how did you follow the press conference by the U.S. Secretary of War and with the U.S. General of Staff, Kane, as Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, said that the Iranian war, the U.S. war on Iran have met its targets and its main aim, which is toppling the regime in Iran, and he said that the supreme commander was dead, the intelligence chief was dead, the armed forces chief also was dead. How did you follow his statements?
Right, very well. And as we understand now, there is a sort of ceasefire agreement in between the two countries.
Yes.
Speaking here about Iran and the U.S., and for 15 days, if it is available within these 15 days, it will be extended for other 45 days. So what it takes is the Secretary of War and Danny Kane, the Chief of Command, have conducted this sort of meeting with the media channels and journalists. It's a narrative, it's not a speech, because he's trying to stress on this that they have achieved their own military objectives, strategic objectives, and as well as you will find the other counter narrative now from the Iranians, maybe within a couple of hours from now. The problem in here is that the man speaking about the United States have achieved all the objectives, while we can see speaking about toppling the regime. Yes, truly, they've killed Ali Khamenei, the Murshid Alam, Mullah of Iran, but who came right after him? We came with Mujtaba Khamenei, son of him. That's a theocratic monarchy of transforming the authority. Secondly, they were speaking about to mitigate or to cut off the influential arms of Iran within the Arab Peninsula. But what happened now is Hezbollah still striking within north of Israel, as well as the Houthis are are involved now in this war, or up till yesterday at least. And also the PMF in Iraq were launching against Israel. Third thing that we're speaking about, that the fertile quantity of uranium, fertile uranium 16%, it's still with the Iranians. So one of the goals have been achieved. We need to have a real good, realistic speech out from the Minister of War, not to repeat what he has said for something like 40 days up to now. From second day, he was speaking about victory. Second day, he said, we are weeks ahead of our plans. But what's happening in the end now? Finally have a tube of oxygen to get out of this war, because the Congress, the military committee in this Congress now, is asking him, what's the end state of this war? And he had no answer for that, unfortunately. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Major General Kabir, also the U.S. Secretary of War, Higeth, in addition to saying that the regime have been toppled and that a number of the officials were dead, he's trying to emphasize that the U.S. have met its targets and its aim of the war on Iran, and this is considered a victory. How did you follow this tone?
Right, as I told you, again, it's a sort of narrative. It's not a speech. It's not like a declaration of what happened in the war, because from the other side, from the Iranians' perception, they would say that's an Iranian victory against the United States invasion, or the United States massive strike against their territories. Again, he's trying to, what do we say? He's trying to propagate or to publish a sort of victory. We have achieved all our strategic objectives. And as I told you like a couple of minutes ago, that the strategic objective is still there. So, I mean, it's a narrative, counter-narrative. Pete Hicks has nothing to say except that. And I would say they pulled out of that very happily too, because it seems they didn't have an end state. It seems like that they have indulged their forces within what to be called the war of attrition.
Yes.
And in the war of attrition, that we spend too much money, very expensive, as they would say in American style, through the nose. And up to now, we understand maybe the expenses for this war maybe reached up to 30 billion US billion dollars from day one up to yesterday, maybe less a little bit or more. I'm not sure about that, but it's around $30 billion, and there's too much money. And if you can see that the oil prices have jumped up like crazy, inflation within the oil prices in third day 15% in the European Union. The gallon in the United States of America of oil now have exceeded more than $4. It's approaching now $5. For something like 2.8 US dollars now, jumped around also a duplication in the number. And if you can see within this 40-day war, they start talking about the mullah and the regime and to mitigate the missiles range. But after 7 days, they have changed their objective to speak about the Hormuz Strait, open the Hormuz Strait, open the Hormuz Strait. Hormuz Strait was open before the war. Then they have changed the objective again about like, let's save pilot and let's get the pilot. We're not going to leave anyone behind us. And they spoke about the pilot, by the way, in the narrative now.
Yes.
So that's fine. They could get their pilots back, but you can see that this sort of planning, changing the military strategic objective every 7 days, this is very dangerous on such forces while they're conducting their war in such strategic level, specifically that the Iranians now have proved that they have something in their long-range missiles back in the hand, and they will never know what they are hiding back to up to now.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Major General Kabir also, for his part, U.S. General of Staff Kane said that a ceasefire is just a pause, and that the U.S. joint forces remains ready to resume the combat. How did you follow his statements?
I mean, I couldn't get your point. So the question
I'm going to repeat the question. The U.S. General of Staff Kane was
yes.
also speaking in the press conference, and he said that a ceasefire is a pause and that U.S. joint forces remains ready to resume the combat of the war. How did you read his words?
Right, and what else he could say except that? Because yes, in the strategic level, I could understand such tone of such speech like this one. Danny Kaine needs to say that. He said, yes, our forces in a good shape, in good capability and ability to resume, to conduct and wage the war, and to recontact again with the Iranians, starting like striking on them, bombarding on them, shelling on them, because that's the narrative. Or otherwise, you know what, less than 24 hours yesterday, United States administration was speaking like obliterating Iran, sending Iran back to the Stone Age, speaking about something like Iran will be no longer existing on the map of the world. We will finish this civilization. And suddenly, in a couple of hours now, everything is okay. We can sit at the table and again, bring back our papers and start talking about that to get through such a diplomatic struggle. So the point in here, it's a narrative, and he needs to make sure that he's trying to transfer his message to the audience and the media channels, that if the Iranians want to commit to their agreement with us, we can resume this war. And I would rather Danny Kaine start watching what will be happening within the 15 days. Let's continue on that, and we are exerting too much power in that. I would like to stress on Egypt now with this diplomatic pivotal role playing since this war have been started 40 days ago.
Yes. U.S. Major General Kabir, also the U.S. General of Staff Kaine, said that the U.S. forces have struck and targeted more than 13,000 targets in Iran. How did you follow this also?
There is a big problem. Yeah, excuse me. Yes, I would say something. There is a big issue, big problem with the Danny Kaine, Pete Hicks's number since this war started. One of these days, I had one of these meetings with the media channel start speaking about 18,000 targets being targeted. That was something like 20 days ago. And by the end of the war, after 40 days, he's speaking about 12. And sometimes you will hear the number of 8,000. Sometimes you hear the number of 5,300. They have many problems with their numbers within the targets or the air sorties by the U.S. Air Force conducting on the Iranian territory. But however, in every case, by the end conclusion is that it's a war of attrition. None of the Iranians, not even the Americans, would be able to finish that and to put an end for such war. And that's why it's the best thing they have done. We praise the two counterparts now. We praise Donald Trump. We praise the Abbas Araghchi and his the working group, that they finally get such an agreement, get to one point to get a compromise or a way to rapprochement in between the two counterparts to stay in one table, and let's negotiate that, not to lose this chance, because if it happened, that would be like a great mistake for both counterparts and great loss as well as expected.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable information, Major General Osama Kabir, a consultant at the Commander and Staff College. We really have the pleasure to have this phone with you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more updates on Nile TV International. The Panorama News is coming up next. My name is Amal Mukhtar.